Seeing that God had brought me to a place to which I had had no intention of coming, I concluded that he wished me to pay homage to the holy sites of Cyprus. In the UNESCO World Heritage List, one encounters 10 Byzantine churches nestled in the Troodos Mountains, all characteristic examples of Byzantine and post-Byzantine art in Cyprus. To the south of Nikitari village and nestled in the pine-clad foothills of the Troodos mountain range, one comes across the only remnant of the Forvia monastery, known also as Panagia Asinu, which was founded by Magistrus Nikephoros Iskirios in 1099. The church is a small, single-vaulted building, replete with frescoes painted during the 12th and 14th centuries. The Church of Panagia Asinu may be weighted down with centuries' worth of history, but that has not prevented it from being, even today, a site for worship and ecclesiastical functions. The narthex was painted in 1332 to 33, and the theme of its frescoes revolves around the Last Judgment. The many icons donated by believers make the narthex look like a large portrait gallery. I arrived subsequently to a small monastery right next to the main road, and each and every traveller takes pleasure in visiting it to rest for a while. It features a small church with a tiled roof, given the snow and frost which descends upon the area in winter. The founder of the monastery of Panagia Eleusa in Podithou was Greek military officer Dimitrios de Koron, then in the service of King James II of Cyprus. The church was never completely adorned with wall paintings. Frescoes today exist primarily in the sanctuary. These wall paintings are considered some of the finest examples of the Italo-Byzantine school in Cyprus. I then arrived in another part of the country known in educated Greek as Myrianthusa, but in the Greek of everyday parlance as Marathassa. This is indeed the most glorious part of Cyprus, featuring a large number of monasteries, churches and clergymen, abundant forests, springs and high mountains, and a very healthy climate. While there, I visited the monastery known in Greek as Aios Ioannis o Lambadistis. It was named so after the village of Lambadis, where the saint was born. The oldest section of the church still standing is the Catholicon, dedicated to Saint Heraclidius, a domed cruciform structure dating back to the 11th century. The Catholicon of Saint Heraclidius also features a particularly significant old iconostasis. It's the oldest known wooden iconostasis, adorned with coats of arms, animals and other features, and dates back to the 13th to 14th centuries. The entire building comprises a complex of 3 churches linked among them. These are the Catholicon itself, the Chapel of St. John Lambadistis, and the so-called Latin or Akathist hymn chapel, built in the 15th century. The chapel features almost all the artistic trends prevalent in the 16th century. At some points we see clear examples of Western art, and at others Italo-Byzantine, which possibly could be the work of the same crew or team as that responsible for Poditho. And finally, Byzantine technique, as this is represented through the Tree of Jesse on the western wall. Needless to say, the prevailing theme in this chapel is the Akathist hymn. 1735. I then descended further as part of my pilgrimage. I, the least of monks, Muscovite Russian and citizen of Kiev, Vasil. Looking over the village of Mutulas is the old church of the Virgin Mary. It's a small, wooden-roofed, single-aisled church, the oldest of its kind in Cyprus. The frescoes, dating back to 1280, are a mixture of local traditional style reminiscent of folk art and an intense Eastern influence in the so-called Crusader style, all adorned with representations of the multicolored Cypriot weaves. A short distance further up, in the Pedoulas community, we come across the Church of the Archangel Michael. According to the dedicatory inscription, the church was decorated in 1474 by a painter named Minas, hailing from Mirianthusa. He appears to have been an artist particularly conservative and faithful to the Byzantine tradition. Of particular mention in this church is the local rendition of the Virgin Mary of Orans, the Panagia Vlachernitissa. Contemporary with the church itself is the painted templon, bearing both the Lusinian coat of arms and the Byzantine double-headed eagle. Let it be known that there are many small rivers in Cyprus, the largest of which number 7 or 8, and having their headwaters in the majestic Mount Troodos. These provide power to a large number of mills and also lead to significant profit by irrigating trees and fields, following which they pour out into the sea. The Church of the Holy Cross at Belendri was subject to many additions and interventions between the 12th and 16th centuries. In 1178, the main arch was adorned not with the platitera, but with the deisis, an extremely rare depiction in this part of the church by Cypriot standards. This church also contains the most detailed depiction of the life of the Virgin Mary, which still exists on the island. At the northeasternmost point of Palechori village, one comes across the church of the Metamorphosis of the Saviour. The unknown artist who probably engaged in this work during the 3rd decade of the 16th century is arguably one of the best representatives of the Cypriot school of art. Having spent 3 days climbing and descending hard-to-walk roads and tracks, and admiring the beauties and sights of the famous Mount Troodos, we descended to a new monastery. Its name, Aios Nikolaos Distekis. The church of Aios Nikolaos Distekis is the only surviving remnant of an old monastery founded in the 11th century. domed cruciform architectural style and is replete with wall paintings and overlays covering a period of at least 5 centuries. Having moved on and coming down on the other side of the mountain, I arrived at yet another monastery dedicated to the Virgin Mary, the Panagia Dwaraka. In addition to the later frescoes dating back to the 14th and 17th centuries on the external surface of the north wall, the adornment of the Panagia Dwaraka Catholicon was, according to the dedicatory inscription, funded in 1192 by Leon Afthendis. Most Byzantinologists are of the opinion that the artist was well-known iconographer Theodoros Apsevdis. The iconography encountered in the Panagia Dwaraka constitutes an excellent example of the hagiography of the later Komnenian period, not only as far as Cyprus is concerned, but also for the entire realm of Byzantine art. And I came to another monastery, called Stavros των Διοσμάτων, or Ayasmaton. The church is a wooden-roofed, single-aisled building, surrounded on all 4 sides by a portico covered by the same steep-pitched roof. This covered portico is the only example of its kind in Cyprus. The adornment of the church was undertaken by a Hellenized Syrian Orthodox artist, Philippos Wool, in 1494 or 1505. I have endeavored to describe those sites worthy of description, even though I am not at all versed in any form of art. I pray to the Maker that he may help me also describe the remainder of my journey.